Hello and welcome to session number 16. We had a short break. Apologies for that. Today I'm going to talk about decision making as what you're going to do, okay, and help you hopefully to decide what you want to do. And again, this all depends on what are you growing things for. And this whole course is done under the assumption of gardening for food. It's not about growing roses, and there's nothing wrong with growing roses. So if we are going to grow for food, we have to understand those basics about the soil that I mentioned before, the basics about different types of plants, etc. And then we have to look at our particular situation and see what are our capabilities and limitations. And in that, I'm not just talking about your personal capability, which also has to be taken into account, but also the limitations of your soil, the capability of your soil and geographic location. Okay? Like if you live in the Arctic region, or let's say in Tasmania, in Australia, you can't grow bananas. So don't try. Don't try to fight against nature. That's advice number one. You can if you want, but it will be very costly. Imagine building a greenhouse somewhere in Tasmania, so for you to be able to grow bananas in. Wouldn't it be much better if you choose something that is suitable for the environment? So that's rule number one. Do not fight with nature. Try to find a crop that is suitable for the environment. So don't say, I want to grow apples. What if you live in a warm region and apples do not grow in your region? You'll be forever struggling trying to find varieties that are suitable for that part of the world. And if you find something that's remotely suitable, you'll be forever fighting, against insects and diseases and things you didn't expect. So go along with nature. And there's nothing wrong with being a bit of a copycat. Unless you're a pioneer in a new area, look around. Look at what people around you are growing successfully. If they're growing citrus successfully, grow citrus. Don't go against nature. A very important thing to remember. And a lot of people want to, try to maximize, like their production, thinking that if you grow things, let's say aquaponically, hydroponically, which in simple terms means growing crops in water, you're going to be able to produce more. Look, you may be able to produce more, but again, this comes at a cost, because unless you know exactly what you're doing, you're not going to be successful and the crop may fail. And you will get diseases and insects that you are totally unexpecting and not prepared to fight. So pick the simple things. And it's difficult for me to give you, like a whole list of examples. You have to use your own discernment here to choose what would be feasible and what would not be feasible. And after you have chosen what are the kind of crops that you are likely to grow or you're capable to grow, you have to look at them from the nutritional point of view. Because you may find that it's very easy for you to grow strawberries. But can you live on strawberries? Well, if you grow a lot of them and there are people around you who are not growing strawberries, then you can use your strawberries to barter with. But we are not working under this assumption. We're working under the assumption that you want to grow food. Sorry about the phone. You want to grow food for yourself. Okay? So you have to look at things that will provide you with nutrition, not things that you necessarily like, not necessarily things that give you pleasure growing. So you may not like sweet potato, but sweet potato is a very easy crop to grow. Personally, I much prefer potatoes, normal potatoes, to sweet potatoes. But for someone my age, in my physical condition, I find it physically daunting to grow potatoes because they require digging, They require a lot of cultivation, a lot of groundwork, which I find physically hard to do. So instead of that, I grow sweet potatoes. I haven't been doing that much, I must say. And the other good thing with sweet potato, there's a lot of good things about sweet potato. Number one, it's very rich in a lot of essential amino acids, okay? It's easy to grow. It's like a weed. It grows everywhere, 3. And number 4, you can grow it, like in Australia, you can grow it virtually all year round. Unlike potato, the normal potato, which you can only grow in cooler climate. Where we live here in southeast Queensland, I can only get one crop of potato. And I can only plant it, let's say, in winter, in the beginning of winter, and harvest it or dig it, mid-spring or something like that. If I try to get another crop in spring, it won't really succeed very well. I will get a big bush, but very small spuds underneath. In the case of sweet potato, on the other hand, you can grow it all year round. So even though, here's an example, a personal example, even though I prefer normal potatoes, it's much easier and it's much more nutritious for me as a crop to grow sweet potatoes instead. So here's a good example. Okay? All right. So you have to understand the nutrition component, and you have to understand the ease for yourself and the feasibility. And then comes the issue of seasons. Because now, like when I grew up as a kid, in Lebanon, people didn't have big fridges, and they certainly didn't have box freezers, and growers didn't grow things under, protective agriculture. So every little kid knew what's a summer crop, what's a winter crop, So, like you would wait for things to come in season. Oh, I can't wait for cucumbers to come in season. I can't wait for green almonds to come in season because we eat the green almonds over there, when they're still soft. So you have to understand what the seasons are. If you're used to buying anything at any given time from the supermarket, that's not how they actually grow in the soil. So you have to look at your climate, your temperature chart, and work out, are you able to grow, we're talking about small crops here, are you able to grow 1 or 2 seasons? Are you able to grow a summer crop and a winter crop? Or are you able to only grow one crop because for the rest of the year it's either too hot or too cold? Of course, in the case of trees, in the case of perennials, it's different. You only have one crop. So I will make a list of summer crops and winter crops, and I will attach it to the bottom of this session. But just to give you a bit of an idea when it comes to vegetables. The nightshade family, which is the tomato family, is a very, very big family. To it belongs many things. We mentioned potato before. So you've got potato, which is really a winter crop. It's perhaps the only winter crop that comes from the nightshade family. All the others, which are tomato, eggplant, or capsicum, in Australia we call it capsicum, which is peppers, green peppers. These are all nightshade families. They're summer crops. So don't try to grow them in winter. Don't. When you know that the average temperature is going to be less than 15 in the day, in daytime, don't grow them. And they are very sensitive to cold nights. So even here, where we are, I don't grow them in winter. I only grow them in summer. And I'm not alone. That's what everyone does. Okay, another family, the cucurbids, which is the family of cucumber, zucchini, squash, watermelon, rock melon, melon. These are all the cucurbit family. They are all summer crops. So don't try to grow them in winter. And then come the family of legumes, Fabaceae, or Leguminosae, they used to call it in the old language. And this is the family of beans. That's my favorite family of vegetables. Why? Because it's the most nutritious. Absolutely the most nutritious. It's got a huge array of essential amino acids. When you grow beans and you mix them with other things like sweet potato or rice, which you can't really grow rice, but you can grow corn in winter, in summer. If you combine beans with any of those things, you can get the whole spectrum of essential amino acids. You can live on them. You may not like, the cuisine, but nutrition-wise, you will get all of your essential amino acids. But here's the other nice thing about beans. Because in this big family of legumes, you've got summer crops and winter crops. Sweet peas and snap peas, all of the pea family, together with the humble broad bean, which is not very popular in the Western cuisine, they are winter crops. They grow right in the middle of winter. And there are many recipes that you can find for broad beans. It's a delicious crop. It's very, very nice, and it grows very vigorously. And it's very easy. It doesn't get many diseases at all. The biggest pest it can get is aphids, if there are aphids in your area, but we will talk later on about aphid control in a way that is safe, not using nasty chemicals. Not in this session. I will get to that later on, when we talk about, insect control. So there you go. In winter time, when it comes to legumes, you can grow peas, all of the pea family, and you can grow broad beans. In summertime, you have all of the other beans. You have the Bertolli beans, the navy beans, all of the other beans, the green beans, all of them, lima beans. They are all summer crops. You grow them in summer, and they're successful in summer, and they will provide you with very high protein diet, and you can eat them green, or you can wait until they form seed, dry seeds, and you can get the seed. And that's if you want longevity. If you want to keep it, in the dry form, it doesn't need to be put in the fridge or the freezer or anything. But of course, if you produce a lot of green stuff, then it's best to blanch it a little bit and put it in the freezer. This way you can keep it, till next summer. Well, I think I will stop here at this stage, and I hope this was useful and informative. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.